that's the block. Enemy and friend is not an option. We all the same, now we go dance and stars.
Hey you guys, I'm back with my next review video. If you're already subscribed to my channel, then welcome back. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my latest review videos. Now, I told you I was gonna hit all these review videos out in a row, and I'm doing it. So this is my next review video. Once again, this is not going to be a beauty on a budget video. However, the last thing I'm going to review kinda is. This review video is going to be on the Chanel Ultra Le Teint Ultra Wear All Day Comfort Flawless Finish Foundation. Ooh, that is a mouthful. Now this is the foundation. And I wear this in the color BR172. Now, BR172 is the darkest color that this foundation comes in because you guys know that I'm just chocolate. So I'm always at the end of the color range. That's just what it is. I really wanted to do this review video because let me just say, I always thought that companies like this didn't really make foundation for very deep skin. And so I ended up watching, I forgot who made me want to try this foundation. But I was watching a review video and the girl was just really giving it great reviews. She wasn't of a deep skin tone. She was maybe of like a medium skin tone. But she was giving the foundation a really good review. I was like, okay, I really want to try this. So I ended up going to, I think I typed it in on Google. And it took me to the Chanel website. And so I was looking at the different colors. I was like, okay. But you know, like the way the color swatches look online is different from how the color swatches look, you know, like the actual foundation. And so I went to a different website so I could see like how the actual colors look like swatched out like on someone's arm. And so when I seen it, I was like, okay, like the BR172, that looks like me. So I went ahead and ordered it. And the first time I tried it, let me say this. I really like how this foundation applies. This foundation applies flawlessly. Now, going back to the previous video I just did with the Lancome Teint Idole, if you were to compare the two, to me, this one has a better application. Now, let me tell you the drawback to this foundation. You can't use this foundation with a primer that has texture to it. Like the Becca Evermatte primer, you guys know that is my go-to. That's my favorite because I have oily skin. You cannot use this foundation with that. If you are gonna use it with that, because I had to learn how to kind of manipulate it, what I've tended to do is I'll use a less matte primer on my face, like for my whole face, and I'll just put the Becca Evermatte kind of like on my nose and on my cheeks. Because what I've known, typically when I use the Becca Evermatte, I put it on my whole face. I know y'all probably like, whoa, because if you've ever used that primer, that primer is matte. But if you know me, then you know I'm greasy. So I use that on my whole face. So the first time I used this foundation, I did my normal routine, put the Becca Evermatte on my whole face, put my concealer on, I put this on. When I first put it on, I was like, oh, I said, girl, I said, this cute. I said, it's real pretty. Baby, when I tell you when this dried down and I tried to put my powder on top, when I tell you it was like chalk, baby, it was like chalk, okay? It was matte. So what I had to learn to do, so forewarning, this foundation on its own is a matte finish. Now there is one that's more of a dewy finish. I think it's called like Velvet something, but it's Chanel Velvet something. That one's more like matte, not matte, it's more dewy radiant. The Ultra Le Teint is matte, okay? So when I tried to use that matte primer and this, it was really giving me the Dior Forever Skin. It was really giving me that type of feels because I don't like that foundation just for the fact that when I used it, it was so matte. It was like dry. I said, oh no, I'm all for a good matte. Y'all know I'm all for a good matte finish, but baby, that just was not it. Now, as far as how I apply it now, I do put the Becca Evermatte like on my nose and my cheeks. For the rest of my face, I try to use something a little less matte. I try to use something a little less matte just because I realize you can't do that with this because it's gonna look dry. So places where I get exceptionally oily, I put the Becca Evermatte. Everywhere else, I just put like a regular mattifying primer. It has the Chanel emblem on the top of the cap. It does have a pump. Now, this is a very interesting design to me, how this was made. I was like, oh, that's very different. So it does have a pump because you guys know I love stuff that comes with a pump. And then this is supposed to be a 24-hour wear foundation. It says that it has a luminous matte finish, all-day comfort, no transfer, oil-free, and dermatologist tested. Now let me tell you this foundation for sure, for a fact, 100% hands down, is transfer resistant. That is not a fabrication. The transfer resistant part is true, but this makeup is not about to move. It's not. I feel like this foundation is more transfer resistant than the Lancome Teint Idol. That's transfer resistant, but when I tell you this foundation does not move, this foundation does not move. Now, so if you're somebody who really wants something that's going to stay on your face and not budge, this is the one. I will tell you that. Now, you like prepping my face the way that I do, I have to learn to manipulate this foundation to get it to perform how I want it to perform. Now, if you don't want it to be so matte, you don't have to use a matte primer. Like I said, you could use like an illuminating primer or a hydrating primer. I did try this with like a smoothing primer. It gave a really nice finish, but it didn't stay matte the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't oily or anything like that, but it did start to it was dewy. It was more of a dewy finish. It didn't look greasy, but I don't like a dewy look. So that was the type of feel it was giving me, and I was like, no. Now, I will tell you, when I use this foundation, I use my NYX Bear With Me setting spray, just because that's a hydrating setting spray, so it balances this out. Now, this is 24-hour wear. It is a very comfortable feel. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. Now, this is fragrance. I will say that this foundation is heavily fragranced. If you have sensitive skin or skin that's very sensitive to fragrance, I wouldn't recommend getting this. So let me put that in there, because this foundation is heavily scented. Like, I don't know what type of perfume they put in here, but when I tell you the first time I used it and I pumped it out, I put it on my skin. I was like, girl, I ain't spray no perfume. I was like, I just spray no perfume. This foundation is very heavily scented. Granted, once it dries down on your skin, you don't smell it anymore. And it's not a bad smell. It's just like, I don't know, it's very fragrant. Like, it smells like perfume is in this. It's very heavily scented. Once it dries down, it's okay. But just forewarning, if you're sensitive to fragrance, this might irritate your skin. Because I did see that in another review video where the girl was like, the fragrance in this kind of irritated her skin. So just forewarning, if you're sensitive, I'd probably see if you could get a sample of this first to try it before committing to it. This does retail for $68. But for the price, I understand, because when I say this foundation gives me everything I needed to give me, it gives me everything I needed to give me. This is a warmer undertone. I've used about, I don't know if you guys can see, I probably went through about half the bottle. Yeah, you can see the little line of Demo. Yeah, I went through about half the bottle so far. I've had this foundation for maybe a month and a half, 2 months now. Typically, this would be gone in that time, but since I have so many foundations each day, I kind of rotate them out. I think I have 4 foundations right now. This one, the Lancome Teint Idol, my Black Opal, and the Derma Blend, which I just got the Derma Blend this week. So before I was just rotating out through the 3. So it's I don't have to wear the same foundation every day. So a bottle lasts me for a while. You can get this you can get it on Chanel.com, of course. If you want to get it from a department store, if you actually want to go and try to get your color match, I do know they sell this at Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, and I've seen this at certain Dillards, not all Dillards, but I've seen this at the larger Dillard stores. So those are places you could go. They might have this at Bloomingdale's also. Oh, and they have this at Saks. They do have this at Saks, because I saw it at the Saks at Phipps Plaza. So they do have it there. So once again, is this in my top 5? I would say it is, but I feel like you have to know how to work with this foundation depending on the look you're going for. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment, and subscribe down below. Once again, it was so much fun. I'll see you guys in my next review video.